So today's thrifting video is a little bit different. I have the small table that I obviously want to style up. So to incorporate this in this week's video, I thought it would be fun to actually go thrifting and only style it with thrifted finds. Honestly, that wouldn't be too challenging if I let myself pick all the items from previous thrift trips, but I decided I'm only styling it with things that I find today as we're shopping. So I'm super excited. We're going to see how many ways we can style the things that I find. I'm going to put the timestamp right here if you want to fast forward right to the haul, but without further ado, let's go thrifting.
So I decided to make a list of the things that I wanted to grab. I decided to focus on the artwork first. For me personally, I always find that the artwork is more challenging for me to decide after I've already chosen the items, so I decided to go with the artwork first just to give myself a little bit more of an easier time around. There were actually quite a few floral paintings that I really liked, however, I decided not to go in that direction, and that was mainly because I felt like I wanted something a little bit different. And this one, I felt like really accomplished it. It's not something that I would normally go for, however, it is something I'm gravitating towards as of late, and so I decided to pick it up. One artwork piece didn't seem sufficient enough though, so I decided to look a little bit longer. And as luck would have it, I did find this piece. I don't find artwork like this too often, and so I was truly enamored by it, and it was such a small piece that I thought it was a safe bet for styling. So with the artwork squared away, it was time to look for plants. Now, florals or some type of greenery have always been a staple in my design style, so I definitely knew that I had to look for something. I was a little concerned about finding something though. Decent faux plants are typically hard to find in my thrift stores. Thankfully though, that wasn't the case today, and I actually found quite a few options to choose from. Today I was really inspired by bringing in some color, so I was planning on going with this floral arrangement. However, I did find this one instead and thought this would fit the theme perfectly. And with plants checked off, it was time to move down the list. Object decor, that was something that I thought was honestly going to be the easiest to find. However, I struggled quite a bit despite previous luck. This was one of the items that I found first. I thought it would work well for the space and the colors that I chose for this design as well, so this was a definite grab for me. And after looking on the shelves continuously, I really lost hope that I would find anything else. In the corner of my eye, I spotted this piece. I was actually really fond of this piece despite the fact that I've never picked up an item like this before. However, I really enjoyed styling with it, I will say. I was really hopeful to find a bowl to style with. I find them to be very easy to style, but no such luck. I did really like this lamp, and I toyed with the idea of picking up a lamp for styling, but last minute I just decided maybe I should work without it. Next up was looking for books and trays. I knew it wasn't likely for me to find vintage books, however, I did find this book that I thought would have been suitable for a coffee table, and I thought it would be good to style with. Aside from that though, not much luck in the book department, so I decided to look for trays. And again, with inventory the way that it was, this was the only thing that I could find that was actually what I was going for in my mind, so I decided to pick it up. So after much shopping and deliberation, I finally decided on the items that I was going to purchase.
So after spending some time in there, I do think I picked items that will work well together. Different styles, but still things that I think will work well. I gave myself some options too. I'm giving myself the opportunity to use as much or a little of this haul as possible. So I'll quickly run through the items, but let's head back and start styling.
So with all the items on the table from this thrifting trip, it was time to take note of what we had. First up was this gorgeous book. Truly fell in love with the book jacket. I think it's going to be an easy one to style with. Next up is this art piece. This was actually the thing that I tried to design around. Love the sketch look of it. Next up is this faux plant. I just really liked it, and I liked the challenge of designing with it instead of greenery. And next up is another artwork piece. Now this one obviously didn't have a frame, and I couldn't thrift a frame. However, I still think it will work well in this space. And this petite piece I think would be great for a gallery wall, although I'm going to style it on the table. Next up is object decor, and in it we have this neutral decorative piece, as well as this brass vase. A simple style, a great color, and so I think it will work well. And for my second option for a faux plant, I decided to grab this little piece right here. And last but not least is this piece, a Lazy Susan to style on. So without further ado, let's get to styling. So I'm starting off with a book. I figured it would be a great piece to build on. Next up, I'm taking the larger of the two art pieces and placing that up against the wall. And with the smaller framed art, I decided I was going to layer it in front. And with this neutral decor piece, instead of placing it on top of the book, I placed it next to it. Next up was my little floral arrangement, and I decided to balance it out by putting it on the opposite side. And finally, using the brass vase, I decided to place it on top of the book, off to the side. So switching it up, I decided to use the Lazy Susan this time around. And instead of centering it, I placed it to the left. And to use the Lazy Susan as a stand, I decided to use the greenery as well as the neutral object piece and placed it on top of it. On the right side, I placed the unframed artwork, the floral arrangement, as well as the brass vase. So for the next style, I decided to go back to using the book. I then took the framed art piece and placed it on top of the book, and using this small wall hanging, I decided to place that in front and layer it. It still looked a little empty though, so I decided to add this piece as well. And because the decor wasn't centered, I decided to put the flowers on the other side to balance it out. So using the last design to build off of, I decided to keep the flowers on the left and propped up the book as visual interest for art. So with the book being repurposed, I decided to use the Lazy Susan. I placed that in front of the book and I placed my neutral decor piece off to the side instead of the center. Now using my brass vase, I placed that off to the right side to balance it out as well as the greenery in front of it. And when styling with similar height items, I find it best to style them at a diagonal. And one thrifting trip later, I managed to style this table 4 different ways, but be sure to let me know in the comments which one was your favorite. But I want to say thank you so much for watching, and thank you for thrifting with me. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I will see you in the next one.